That foundation on your bathroom counter right now is not what it used to be. I spent 6 weeks tracking when major American foundation brands quietly changed their formulas, pulled independent lab data on heavy metals, and compared it against what the FDA actually checks versus what most people assume gets checked. Three names came up again and again, and none of them are going to like this video. You trust these bottles to sit on your skin all day, right next to your eyes and lips. You probably remember picking up your first long-wear foundation in the late 90s or early 2000s when the promise was simple: better coverage, less shine, cleaner photos. What nobody told you is that U.S. cosmetics law barely changed while the chemistry inside the bottle got far more aggressive. Foundation is legally a cosmetic, not a drug. It doesn't need FDA approval before hitting shelves, and companies aren't required to submit safety data unless something goes badly wrong. Here's the one fact you need before we go further. Heavy metals like lead, arsenic, cadmium, and nickel aren't added on purpose. They hitch a ride with the pigments and mineral powders that give foundation its coverage and color. The FDA studied 150 cosmetic products and found median values around 0.85 milligrams per kilogram lead and 2.7 milligrams per kilogram nickel. Small numbers, but toxicologists and groups like the American Academy of Pediatrics repeat the same warning. For lead, there is no known safe level over a lifetime, especially when you layer multiple products daily. The FDA's guidance caps lead at 10 parts per million as an impurity. That's a ceiling, not a target. Under 10 parts per million doesn't mean safe. It means we haven't drawn the line lower yet. Since there's no pre-market approval requirement, the burden falls on independent labs and on you. 1. Radiance Stay All Day. The filler Creep Radiance launched in 1984, built by a makeup artist on a simple formula: water, natural oils, pigment, a short list of stabilizers. In the late 2000s, a multinational personal care conglomerate, better known for detergent and dish soap, bought it. That kind of buyer doesn't acquire cosmetics brands out of passion for makeup. It acquires them because foundation is a reliable way to turn cheap fillers into premium-priced bottles. Today's label tells a different story. After water, you get cyclopentasiloxane and dimethicone for that silky glide, then film-forming plastics like acrylates cross-polymer that make the product cling for 12 hours at the cost of breathability. Further down, talc, iron oxides, sometimes bismuth oxychloride, the mineral pigments that lab data consistently ties to trace lead and arsenic contamination. Individually, these levels sit below 10 parts per million. Stacked with the powder, blush, and lipstick you wear from the same company every day, the cumulative picture looks different. You've probably noticed your foundation sitting on your skin like cling film instead of a soft tint, cracking around laugh lines by mid-afternoon. You blamed your technique, your moisturizer, your age. The real change was the formula: more film-forming silicone, less flexibility. 2. CityWear Cover Matte. The legal loophole. CityWear started in Chicago in 1992, built with dermatologists for TV anchors under hot studio lights. A global beauty conglomerate bought it in 2010, one that also controls several major pigment suppliers to the industry. That gives them a captive channel for mineral color blends that wouldn't clear stricter thresholds in food or pharmaceutical use. The current label adds trimethyl siloxysilicate, a resin that hardens on skin, plus may contain listings for ultramarines and chromium hydroxide green, pigments more likely to carry trace chromium. FDA survey data on similar foundations shows median chromium around 3.1 milligrams per kilogram and nickel around 2.7 milligrams per kilogram. For most people, that's harmless. For anyone with nickel allergy, one of the most common contact allergies in adults, according to the American Academy of Dermatology, it can mean chronic redness and small bumps exactly where you're trying to cover redness. If you've developed a jawline rash you blamed on your moisturizer or your laundry detergent, Check the green-tinted color-correcting foundation in your routine first. 3. Pure Mineral Glow Foundation. The Natural Illusion Pure Mineral launched in California in 2001, promising nothing but crushed minerals. A private equity firm bought it in the mid-2010s to scale distribution nationally. Private equity doesn't buy mineral makeup companies for transparency. The phrase pure minerals gives them room to source cheaper, lower-grade mineral powders while charging premium prices. FDA testing on mineral foundations found trace lead, arsenic, and nickel across the board, most under 10 parts per million, but present. Pure mineral doesn't mean free of heavy metals. It means the metals are at levels regulators currently tolerate. The CDC and American Heart Association both note that long-term low-level metal exposure, stacked with other environmental sources, contributes to cumulative risk over time, even when no single product looks alarming on its own. If switching from liquid to mineral foundation left you with fine bumps and uneven texture you blamed on aging skin, the label never told you what came bundled with the minerals. Now the part that actually helps you. 3 alternatives that do something different. Shorter ingredient lists, published lab testing, and ownership that isn't betting on your brand loyalty to skip questions. 4. Lab Clear Skin Foundation. Transparent testing lab Clear was built by chemists and dermatologists with one promise. Every batch gets tested for heavy metals and the results go public. Their internal lead limit sits below 5 parts per $1 million, half of what the FDA allows. The formula stays simple. Water, squalane, glycerin, a touch of dimethicone for slip, pigments limited to iron oxides, and titanium dioxide from documented low-contamination suppliers. No parabens, no synthetic fragrance. Wear it on one side of your face against a conventional long-wear foundation on the other. By afternoon, the heavier side cracks and highlights pores. The Lab Clear side fades a little but stays smoother. That's the trade. Less plastic film, more actual skin showing through. At roughly $28 an ounce versus $12 for a drugstore bottle, the gap works out to about 18 cents a day. 5. Heritage Pure Foundation, Istater Besinaitingenmisen, family-owned minimalism. Heritage Pure is a small Oregon company that deliberately avoided outside investment to keep control of sourcing. The formula runs on 7 ingredients: water, aloe vera juice, jojoba esters, zinc oxide, iron oxides, xanthan gum, and a gentle preservative pair. Their pigments are tested against European Union heavy metal thresholds, which run tighter than the basic U.S. standard. Apply it before a light walk and watch how it handles sweat. It blurs slightly instead of separating into streaks, a sign of fewer plastic-like film agents doing the work. At about $26 an ounce against $20 for a mid-range brand, that's roughly 10 cents a day extra, less than the markup on a premium coffee. 6. DermSafe Coverage. Dermatologist-led formula DermSafe was built by dermatologists for patients with rosacea and contact dermatitis who still wanted coverage. Sold mostly through clinics rather than big retail, which keeps marketing spend low and ingredient budget higher. The formula centers on skin barrier support, glycerin, niacinamide, panthenol, meadow foam seed oil with iron oxide and titanium dioxide pigments tested to stay well under the 10 parts per million lead threshold. Users tracking their skin over a month of daily wear commonly report less redness and burning compared to their previous foundation, a sign the total irritant load, including possible metal sensitivity, is lower. At around $32 an ounce and applied more sparingly due to higher coverage, the daily cost difference against a $20 department store option lands around 13 cents. Here's what the industry is counting on: that you'll reach for the logo you grew up with instead of reading what's actually in the bottle, and that a natural or mineral claim will feel like proof of safety without you ever seeing a lab report. The FDA's 10 parts per million lead limit is a manufacturing compromise, not a guarantee of zero exposure. For anyone already managing blood pressure or bone health, cumulative exposure from daily products matters more now than it did decades ago. If this changed how you'll look at the foundation aisle, subscribe so you don't miss the next investigation.